where two people sit down, and sometimes they know each other, sometimes they don't. And they don't say very much. They make their moves, and their moves do the talking. Now, at times, chess can seem to have somewhat weird, inexplicable, even awkward circumstances. So, for example, when you play the game and you finish the game, do I need to tell my opponent that the game is over? Do I need to shake his hand after the game is over? Before or after he realizes that I've won? How do I tell him he needs a mitt? Now, despite all of this awkwardness, I've always thought of chess as really similar to other types of arguments. Like other arguments, chess is a game in which how well you do is a reflection of how well you're making your argument. So, in the recent past, I've come to redefine this ideology a little bit, and for several reasons. My main concern with thinking of chess as an argument is that a large part of what's going on is not going on in the 64 squares in front of you, but rather inside of the player's mind. So, if you think about chess, chess is a game in which you don't really have to think about what's going on the board. It's about what's going on in your mind. And the whole point of chess, if you're thinking about chess as what's going on the board, you're really missing the whole point of the game. It's a lot more than just that. So there was this guy in the 1930s named Raymond Chandler, and he was a novelist and a screenwriter. And at one point he made this comment about chess. He said that chess is as elaborate a waste of human intelligence as anything outside of an advertising agency. And well, at first I was pretty dismissive of his idea, because I've been involved with chess for more than a decade now, and as you can tell from my shirt, I have had a really strong interest and connection to the game. So at first I was pretty dismissive, but the other day I was playing a game of chess. It was not anything extraordinary. You know, both me and my opponent were just going through the motions. You know, we were playing really basic opening stuff like the Kramnik-Shirov double counter delayed attack variation. You know, really basic stuff, right? So I stopped myself at one point and I thought to myself, well, maybe this Chandler guy was right. I mean, how could this really have any purpose? It's just monotony, basically. And it's all about like memorizing an opening up until move 20, then thinking for a few moves, and then just remembering a way to close out the game, remembering some general ideas. But something seemed a little unsettling about this idea. I mean, how could hundreds of thousands of people devote so much time and effort to something that had absolutely no value whatsoever, no use? And that's when I realized the main problem. And what I realized was that the real fun was never in chess. I mean, checkers is so much better. But, I mean, jokes aside, that was when I realized that I had been looking at the game incorrectly the whole time. It's not at all about what's going on the board, it's all about what's going on in here. And that's the real takeaway of the game. It's all about this thing. So, in chess, you are presented with a set of alternatives, or a single alternative, and the player has to weigh out the benefits from the drawbacks and ultimately come up with a plan of attack. And it's this same process that dictates our daily lives. It's this process that determines what we do every day, where we go, the things we see, the people we meet, etc. And chess is very similar. So let's present you with a basic example. Let's say you're taking a chemistry test, and you come across a true-false question. And you're not really sure how to answer the question, so you think about it a bit, and you go with the answer that seems to make a little bit more sense. If you really have no idea, you just pick an answer at random. So let's try to represent this as a chess position. So if you take a look at this position, we have the queen, which moves up and down, side to side, or diagonally. And as you can see, the king is in direct line of fire of the queen. So the whole point of chess is to make sure your king is secure. So you have to move the king away in this position. And the king moves one square at a time, so it can move anywhere here. And in this position, anywhere it moves on here would lead to it still being under attack. So it's got only two options, left or right. And if you notice, we have transposed the true or false situation into a real-life chessboard situation that has two options, left or right. And it's this ability to transpose a real-life situation into a chess position that makes the game so intriguing and interesting. Now, this is all very interesting, but it's pretty basic. So we just have one true or false question, and it's left or right. So let's say we wanted to spice it up a bit. We have a very similar position, and this corresponds to this scenario where you have a true or false question again, but in this time you think that the answer is true. You're 60% sure. But the answer is actually false. So in this situation, general principles would dictate that you would want to move away from the edge, because the edge is very prone to attack. You're going to get cornered in, basically. So in this situation, if you followed that line of attack, you would go towards the center, and the thing is you would end up losing the game in one move, because the rook would come all the way down to the end, and you'd have nowhere to go. However, if you went the other way, you would have an escape route. So you notice that we have a gut feeling to act a certain way, but that gut feeling leads to a mistake, aka you're going to lose the game. So you notice that we've transposed the situation into a chess position. Now, let's get to the point. You're sitting here, you're listening to the speech, you're wondering why on earth would anyone want to use all of this? Like, how could any of this complicated chess stuff actually help? Well, the deal is that this is the best way to change something that has millions and millions of possibilities into something that has a finite set of options. Now you're probably saying that a true or false question is only really two options. But in reality, we have so many other options. We could leave the question blank, we could guess both the options, we could get up and leave the room really angrily, we could throw our pencil at the wall. There's all these dozens and dozens of options that we could do. And the nice thing about this is that we've gotten rid of all of the useless moves, all of the bad decisions, all of the things that would lead down bad paths. And we've ultimately filtered it down to the two options. So the next time you're playing a game of chess and you feel like banging your head against the wall, I encourage you, think a little. Chess is not just a waste of time. It's all about what's going on up here. The heart of everything you do, the heart of everything that goes on around you. So chess is really about making decisions. It's about filtering your choices so that we can make the best informed decisions. It's about simplifying our lives, making our decisions easier so that we can get rid of all the ambiguity and all the superfluity. Timeless game. Can it help you make better decisions? Thank you all for listening.